Welcome to Time Leverage Lab, the podcast that helps seven-figure founders get 10 to 12 hours off their calendar every single week in 24 weeks or less. My name is Brent Kokel. I'm your host. I run a commercial real estate services company that does B2B work. We do just under $2 million a year in revenue, 34% EBITDA, and it takes me just 90 minutes a week to run. What we talk about on this show is simple things. It's the simple things that we often don't do that get us the highest leverage and yield and return on the time that we spend. So today I want to talk about something that we probably don't think that we need to increase our skill level on because we've been doing it our whole life. But there is certain things to follow when it comes to the way that we communicate. And that's what we're talking about today, that are going to make it so you communicate more clearly, more effectively, and the stuff that you're communicating actually gets done by your team instead of you having to repeat yourself 15 times and the task still doesn't get done. And then you jump in on your own and do it yourself. And then you're even closer to the edge of burnout and you're wondering why you even hired these people in the first place. So let's avoid that scenario and put you in a better place instead that will really get people doing more of what you tell them to do. And this really comes down to a trick that a former Navy SEAL taught me. And he was a commander in the SEAL teams. And he said that, hey, if I tell you to do something once and you don't do it, it's my fault because I didn't clearly communicate what I needed done. And if I tell you 2 times and you still don't do it, then it's still my fault because I didn't accurately tell you why it mattered that this thing needed to be done. And if I tell you 3 times and you still didn't do it, it's your fault because you were too stupid to listen to the first 2 times that I said it. So that's basically the principle that I've got with this, but we're going to add a little piece of clarity onto it, right? It's the first 2 things that are your fault, not the third thing that's somebody else's fault. Because if they're too stupid to listen to the first 2, they shouldn't be working for you anyway. Let them go work someplace else. So let's look at the first thing that's your fault when it comes to communication. If somebody doesn't do it, you clearly didn't explain what needed to be done. So often what we do is we speak in terms of the end result that we're looking for. And then we expect that whoever we're communicating that end result to will understand exactly how to execute it. But where we're screwing up when we do that, when we're the founder or the top of the food chain in whatever company we're in, is we're assuming that person has the same level of problem solving skill and the same level of execution skill that we would if we were doing those tasks. And the reason for that is because we view what we do as normal and ordinary. And to other people, it's absolutely extraordinary and amazing. So we really don't have good sight on why somebody else would need a little bit more clarity on what we do. So rather than just explaining what the end result of a task is that we want to have the outcome be, we need to explain in detail what the task is, like almost at the micro level. And doing that does take a little bit more of an investment of your time on the front end, but it's going to pay off in the long term by the person understanding way more clearly why it needs to be done. Plus, they're not going to come back to you and you're not going to end up having to do it anyway. So a good example of that is that if we tell somebody, let's say we're in a home services business and we need somebody to build a walkway for us because we do concrete work. We say we need you to build a walkway. That's way different than telling somebody how long the walkway is, how wide the walkway is, what type of finish the walkway is going to have. Does it have any curvature in it or is it a straight line? What is the angle of the elevation that we can have on this walkway for it to be acceptable? There's a lot of different things that we can go into saying that often, again, we'll overlook simply because we're used to doing the task ourselves and it's normal and ordinary and almost boring to us, the efficiency and the skill that we'll put out with any given task that we're going to delegate to somebody else and where you got to communicate it to them first. So that's the first thing. If they don't do it the first time, it is your fault because you didn't communicate it clearly, just like my SEAL buddy there, just like me. Second thing is if you told them twice and they still didn't do it, then it's still your fault because you didn't explain why the task mattered. And that's a step we skip over quite a bit, isn't it? We just tell them what needs to be done, but we don't help them understand why it matters. And the important reason why we want to share why something matters is it because it elevates their standard of care for the thing we're asking them to do, because they're going to understand that there's a reason behind doing what we're asking them to do, rather than just telling them to do something that they think is busy work. Everybody likes to be part of a team that has a bigger mission, and a little piece of a bigger mission is okay as long as they understand what the bigger mission is. And of course, there's orders of magnitude, because if we're talking to somebody in customer service, there might be an overall customer service mission that supports the overall company mission, but we get bigger and bigger as the company grows. But the shrinking of why something matters really happens individual to that job. But if they understand why something matters and they're clearly understanding of what needs to be done, now it increases our likelihood that the thing we want done is actually going to get done. Why it matters is really important. So we can use that as an example for somebody that does customer service, since I just talked about that. If one of your standards of performance is that everybody that is a customer that reaches out gets a response within 3 hours, the person needs to understand why it matters that we get back to somebody within 3 hours. We can talk to them about customer retention. We can talk to them about lifetime value of a customer. We can talk to them about things like net promoter score that are going to make them realize why it matters that we get back to somebody in 3 hours, and makes it so it's like really an important thing for them to realize that this needs to be done. And if it doesn't get done, then it creates all these other problems down the chain of this bigger mission that I'm a part of. Instantly, I care more about what I'm doing when I understand why. So those are the two things that if we just communicate in that way and take responsibility, that it's our fault that other people aren't doing the things that we're asking them to do because we didn't communicate clearly, or because we didn't explain why something needed to be done, then we're really not going to get to stage 3, where they didn't do it because they were too stupid to listen to the first 2 times. We're not going to get there because we're going to see it ourselves. And we're going to realize that it's up to us to make sure the things that we want to have done in our company actually get done. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. If you need to get 3 hours off of your week this week, then I want you to click the link in the description of this episode or this video, whichever medium you're watching for it on, and you'll get access to a free 48-hour founder time reset. In this, you're going to get tools, you're going to get scripts, and you're going to get a 15-minute live one-on-one call with me, where we are going to take 1 to 3 hours off of your week right there live on the call. Click the link in the description if you feel like that would benefit you. That's it for this one, guys. I will see you on the next video.